Hey guys, it's Coach Matt with Lifelong Recovery. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to maintain long-term sobriety, how to maintain continuous sobriety. So today, I'm actually celebrating 16 years in recovery. So I've gone 16 years without taking a drink or using any kind of drugs. So pretty grateful to be sitting here today and just doing some reflecting on these past 16 years and what helped me in my recovery, what was harmful to my recovery, what the hardest parts were, what the best parts about my recovery have been and everything. So first, I just want to say, no matter where you're at in your recovery, the biggest thing, it may sound very simple and very trite, but the biggest thing is to not give up. So I got clean and sober at 27, but I had been trying to get clean and sober for a number of years with varying degrees of effort, I would say. And I never really went to get help till I was 27. So when I finally did get clean and sober, I tried to get into what's called an IOP program, which is an intensive outpatient counseling group. So it's just group counseling, and I didn't have insurance, but luckily at the time where I lived, there was county programs. So I had actually prior to that, I had started going to a counselor through a county program. So it was funded by the county. It took a lot of red tape, honestly. I can't remember how I heard about it, but it was something that took me about a month to get involved in. I had to fill out some forms and make some calls and stuff like this. And mind you, I'm doing this all in the midst of my addiction. So it's kind of a miracle that I actually followed through with it. But I think at that point, I was just very things had gotten very bad. I was having severe health issues. I had worn away the lining of my esophagus. I woke up one morning and I just had excruciating pain when I would try and swallow. So that was kind of a catalyst for me really taking it seriously. I had half-hearted attempts at getting clean and sober before. It was more just like I was trying to do it off of willpower, I would say. I would just wake up and be like, I'm not fucking drinking today. And I can't tell you how many times I said that and didn't follow through with it. And at times I lasted maybe a couple days, maybe a few days, but it was always pretty short-lived. In fact, the longest that I ever went clean and sober before I went and got professional help, I would say, was 3 weeks. And that was with the help of a 12-step group. But even with that, I wasn't all in, so to speak. I wasn't working the steps that they tell you to do, and I didn't have a sponsor that I was connecting with on a regular basis. So I think I wanted to get clean and sober, but to be honest, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. So what happened when finally I was like, I need help. So I went to that counseling through my community. I found like a grant or whatever you want to call it. And through talking with a counselor, he gave me the number for this intensive outpatient. And let me tell you, that number sat in my apartment, on my counter for at least a couple weeks where I was staring at it before I actually called the number. And looking back, it makes sense. I was terrified. I was terrified of the reality of what was going on. The reality of, hey Matt, you're an alcoholic. You're addicted. Saying those words and letting that sink in, you have a serious problem that you need help. You can't fix this on your own. That was terrifying to me. So again, that number sat on my counter for a couple weeks before I actually called it. And once I did, they told me to come in for an assessment. So I met with a counselor and had an assessment. And the counselor told me that I didn't qualify for this intensive outpatient program because my drinking was so severe that it was dangerous for me to just quit on my own. And I was drinking probably on average 20 standard drinks a night, like with the combination of beers and shots of liquor. I would do other things here and there. I was taking Xanax. I would smoke weed every once in a while, pop some pills, things like that. But alcohol was really at that point when before I quit, alcohol was my main addiction. So she told me, she was like, you need to go into a hospital and medically detox before you can come into this intensive outpatient program. And I'll be honest, guys, I just broke down in tears. The true nature of my problem was completely overwhelming to me. I was terrified. I felt completely alone. I felt like I had completely fucked up my life. I had gotten myself into something that I didn't know if I could get out of, basically. And I was scared to death. And luckily, I had some supportive people along the way that wanted to see me get better, that were encouraging me and things like that. And that was really helpful. But before that, so that was the beginning of me actually getting sober. I relapsed one more time after I detoxed, went into the intensive outpatient program. And then a week into that intensive outpatient program, I stayed clean and sober for that week. It was Monday through Friday. And then I've said this in an earlier video, but the weekend came and it was a buddy of mine's birthday, a buddy that I drank with on a regular basis, who's also an alcoholic, who is also now in recovery. He's been in recovery a few years now. But anyway, so it was his birthday. And he's like, "Come on, man, let's go to the bar." And I was like, I'm gonna go, but I'm not gonna fucking drink, right?" And I went to the bar and played a couple games of pool, and I'm just sitting there sweating, and everyone around me is drinking, and I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" And eventually, I gave in, and I basically binge drank for the rest of the weekend. Missed my intensive outpatient counseling group on Monday. Called and said I was sick, and then Tuesday came back and admitted. I finally, with the help of some of the other people in the group, they encouraged me to tell the counselor that I had relapsed. And so I did. And I told the counselor, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And not saying this is the way for everybody, but my counselor was a big proponent of 12-step programs. So she said, go to a meeting and get a sponsor. And at that point, I was just so defeated. I felt like I had tried everything and I did not want to do that. I was not a big fan of AA. I had been court ordered to go to AA when I was 19 years old, and I completely scoffed at it. Guys, I'll make a second part to this video. Thanks, and please stay tuned for the second part.